I taught for 20 years, 17 years in public school classroom, 3 years in private classroom, and I've done children's choir since I was 17 years old. And I remember back when I was 17 years old, and I didn't know anything about what I was doing. I just know that the music director knew I could sing pretty, and I was in the band. And that was what I got a preschool choir, and that I didn't have a clue. And you know, I went to college and majored in music ed, and you know, they didn't teach me enough.
That's right.
You know, a lot of those folks who were teaching music ed in that time, I think they're doing a better job of it now, but a lot of them were teaching this and music ed, this and music ed. So they just didn't teach us enough. And then we got out and we're on our own. So I will tell you where I learned the most was at things like this, in Ridgecrest, and some of those kinds of events, and learning from Martha Kirkland and Nan Grantham and some of our heroes. I learned so much more from them than I ever learned in college. And still learning. And learning from you all. I learned every time I go to a conference, somebody tells me something I didn't know, and I borrow that. So I hope that's what we're about. And this session is sing in a circle. We might not necessarily sing the whole time, but I have sort of fallen in love with this whole idea of learning in a circle. Let me get the right notes, because those you don't want to hear the last session. Some of you already heard that, and I said that. And I actually saw something. Okay, who's on Pinterest? Pinterest? Admit it. I am a Pinterest addict. Okay. I read something just day before yesterday about circle learning in early childhood. It wasn't necessarily about music, circle learning, but I felt so affirmed that somebody else was kind of talking about that. It goes back several years ago. There was the Big Books movement. Some of you educators remember Big Books movement. The idea behind Big Books was they would take the children's books and blow them up big, because some of the children didn't have the background where their parents sat them in their lap and read to them. So they would take the early childhood children and they would sit in a circle with the teacher with the big book, and that was sort of a way to let them experience that, because we know that early reading is so dependent on hearing the stories and being read to. That's your language development. Well, music is the same way. You have children in your preschool choirs and your younger children's choirs who had no music at home, they weren't sung to, and they just don't naturally do it. So we try to do some things to sort of reclaim that. The other thing is, somebody said, well, what age are you going to, this is going to be every age, it's going to be all mixed up. Okay, this is not preschool choir, it's not younger children's choir, and we'll even do some things that are more older children's choir. It's all mixed up. Okay, that's not natural. Okay, that's not how it functions. But I know that there are all of you in here for those different things. So if you're like, I don't know who could do this, ask if we do a certain thing, and I'll tell you. But the idea of circle learning, they don't really outgrow it. Some of the best times may not be the most musically best times, but the best times for relationships and building those spiritual concepts and ideas are when you're in a more informal setting, right? If they come in and they sit in their choir chairs in lines where you're rehearsing a piece of music, that might not be that time. You may can still do that. But when you sit on the floor and toss tennis balls at each other, that's when the relationships build. And I think that's really important. Sometimes we forget. We think kids have outgrown that. They really haven't. They really haven't. So that's the whole thing there I have on your handout about why circles. And I pointed out that, as if you didn't know, preschoolers are very me-focused. Did you know that? So are sixth graders. They have this desire to be affirmed in who they are, don't they? They are about us, and some of us never outgrow that. You know, we want to be. Yeah. Some point in our day, we want to be the center. It's just sort of this human nature thing that we hopefully get past, but not always. So they need many more opportunities for socialization. We have a lot of preschoolers who are stay-at-home with stay-at-home moms. And so they don't have a lot of experience with other children. So one of the important things we do is expose them to working with other children and cooperating and working in a group. If you sit in a circle, it's like the Knights of the Round Table. Nobody was the head, right? You didn't have a head at the table. So we sit in a circle and everybody's equal. And it's really important that you be in the circle too, which we don't always like to get in the floor, but sometimes we have to. I don't like using little chairs. If you're comfortable with using little chairs with the kids and you don't have a problem with that, you work that out, that's fine, but I typically sit on the floor with the little guys. So you need a clear area, all of that. You know how to make a circle. So then we have this building a community of learning, and we use different objects, passing balls, passing sticks, all those kinds of things. Parachute activities are a great place to start because you get your circle started. And so we're going to do a parachute activity. The way we're going to do it in here is I think I'll split you up and have maybe one group do a circle and then we'll switch or something like that because there's so many of us, it gets to be unmanageable. So we'll work on that. And the rest of this is just sort of self-explanatory. And I'm just going to walk through all the different things on my yellow piece of paper. If I stick to it, we may get it all done. So we're going to start, actually, let's start with everybody on the floor and do something doesn't have to be in a circle. Let's just be around the room. So would everybody be around the room? And as you go around the room, you're going to grab, you don't need papers, you don't need anything, right? If you would grab a scarf on your way around the room, spread out, you're not yet in a row. That is not a circle, so just scatter it out. Standing. Yes. Thank you for sitting. Yes. And you can get around the parachute and get over that area. That was so quiet. And you get down to these work. I think I have to watch these work too. They're not float as well, but they're very Texas-esque. Very Texas-esque.
So did you make these or buy these?
I bought those, and you know what? When I first saw those, you've seen how expensive those scarves are. Now those are made. The white ones, that's a different weight of stuff. But you know how expensive they are? A friend of mine, we were doing an org level together, and they had a package of those, and they're big. And I'm like, I never would want one that big. So we took them and bought them together and cut them in half and split them. And that was a good deal. So find your friend and do that. You got little pieces of tape on them. The reason is last week, this is really cool. Last week I was in Alabama, or the weekend before last, at their state Baptist Children's Choir Conference, and we had Artie Almeida. Artie, some of the music ed people know Artie, and she wanted everybody to have a scarf, and there were like 200 people. So everybody, my friend Karen was in charge of that, everybody that had scarves brought them and we color coded them, so you're white or angry. That's why there's a sticker on there. So anyway, this is actually an Artie Almeida activity. So what we're going to do is we're going to move our scarf to the music, we're going to do some bouncing, and then we'll get to do some tossing. Okay? And I hope I remember how to do this because I haven't done this for a little while, but I just thought it'd be a good way to start. And this is a Leroy Anderson, he's called the syncopated clock. And you'll want to walk around. And I'm going to use the volume. And do your steps. This is Texas sound versus. folding thing. Let's try this. I don't know if I can do it as well as she does. And here,